Hello, 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 and welcome to Unrestricted Lorefare. I'm your host, Lichmaster98, and we're definitely not starting 2 minutes late. The clock is a lie. Don't know what else to tell you. Alright. Somebody just let me know if the audio volume is alright there. It looks okay, I think, monitor-wise, but if it's wrong or a little bit hard to hear me over the background music, just let me know and we can fix it on up. Let me go ahead and switch over here, and suppose sharing the web captioner page doesn't do very much when I've got captions on the side. Hi everyone, and welcome. It's yeah, as I said, Lichmaster98 here, your GM Xavier for Unrestricted Lorefare, and welcome to Beacon Space's Faction Turn 16. It's been a while since we've had a faction turn, and even a few weeks since the last lore stream, so I'm excited to get back into it and get everything all set up and working here. So, if you're new here, welcome on in. This is the faction turn. It's our once about a month rendition of a variation on the Stars Without Numbers faction turn system that we've converted into working as a multiplayer game run through a Discord server. We get together once a month on this event to execute the turns, roll some dice, and have a lot of fun. You'll get to meet some of our factions as we go through our turn today, and they are our primary characters at this level of exploring the world of Beacon Space, which is a sci-fi setting set into the far future where humanity, as well as other species, have explored the stars as we catch up into a sector trying to rediscover its connections between different planets and worlds. I think that sounds like a pretty good intro for today. Let's go ahead and get started with the turn. So we'll be getting started today with the resolution of the last Telestar group initiative vote. If you recall, this was the Telestar group vote for station influence regarding the lease of the Ivory Towers and Country Club, which is a sort of exclusive bar on the Telestation. The lease is coming up for renewal, and negotiations have broken down. So factions got to choose which side to support, and that support may or may not show up in a free agents, our cipher system RPG that is set within this world. You know, the support may or not be present in a small mission there. So I've taken note of how people have supported, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you the number of factions which have supported each side, but I'm not going to publicly make available which factions that are until the potential reward as a result of the mission could be revealed. I do acknowledge that this is one of the few times we have sort of this hidden reward mechanic. Normally, things in the faction turn are very transparent. So there are some guarantees made about this reward that obviously you can't be penalized for it. So no assets, if possible, will take any damage. You could only ever receive a positive benefit from it. More than likely, that will mechanically take the form of faction credits. An exact number is to be determined and is perhaps dependent on the actions of the agents within the mission, but there are no bad outcomes for either side. That's not on the table for this event. So with that out of the way, there were 5 factions that have chosen to put their support behind Data Rice, who is the new buyer for the space. 2 factions have decided to support the old operation of the currently established mechanical elite, and 2 factions have not picked a side in the fight at all and won't be eligible for rewards if it becomes an option. So like normal, the full results, the vote text and the public results will be available in the Discord server slightly after the stream ends. But with that, let's go ahead and shift on over to starting off our faction turns, and I'm just realizing that I didn't politely give myself a few columns here, and that was a mistake. I know there are trades that have taken place, because I recall putting them into the Discord, but apparently I have not transcribed them into the spreadsheet. I will have to take care of that either after the turn or later this weekend. But let's go ahead and get started with turn 16's order. Hopefully spelled correctly with appropriate capitalization. And yeah, alright. So, we're going to get started this turn with the Assembled Commonwealth, who go first. Just so that I have this all tabled up correctly. There we go. So the Assembled Commonwealth are our first faction this turn, and they're going to be taking the Use Asset Ability action. So let's go give them their income, and then I'll come back and go through all of the things they are activating and roles that need to be made as a result of that. So we're going to first give them a 6 faction credit income to the Assembled Commonwealth, bringing them up to a total of 16 faction credits, it looks like. They're then going to use their pretext logistics asset on the planet of Idarast. And if you're unfamiliar with what this view is, since we've switched away from the spreadsheet, this is the Stars Without Number map that's been created for this game. It displays the assets on the map in a little bit more informative way that is easier to understand and view than the spreadsheet, but the spreadsheet is the source of truth, and there's always a slight delay in getting the two synced up, especially during a turn. So this pre-tech logistics asset is going to activate to allow the owner to buy 1 force asset on this world up to tech level 5. It just costs 1.5 times as much as it normally would. So they're going to take this and purchase a Zealots asset, and I just want to double check that they don't currently have a discount. I don't believe they do, and they don't have a note about it, but I just want to make sure that I'm not overcharging them. Nope. Okay, so the Zealot asset, we can see that one takes, here, let me go ahead and do it this way so we can see the price on paper. I have notes here that that's going to cost them a total of 9 faction credits. So this is the Assembled Commonwealth purchasing a Zealots asset. And if we fill this field in, we'll see that normally this asset would cost 6 faction credits due to the 1.5 times multiplier. This is going to cost 9 faction credits this turn. But let's go ahead and place it on Idarast and mark it as having the purchase sickness tag. And then we'll go charge the Assembled Commonwealth for this purchase, bringing them down to 7 faction credits. Next, they're going to activate a covert shipping asset that is located over here on Mankiraniti, I believe. Yes, this one right here. This can activate to move a Special Forces unit between any worlds that within 3 hexes of this asset. So they're going to move the newly purchased Zealot units that have been bought on Idarast and relocate them on to Teles. We need to take note that the Tohoraphae have the Pirates tag as a faction tag, which allows them to tax incoming assets on planets where they have a base of influence, and there is a Tohoraphae base of influence on Teles, so that's going to charge 1 faction credit tax on top of 1 faction credit for the movement. So the Tohoraphae will go up to 25 credits. As a result of this, the Assembled Commonwealth will go down to 5. And now we'll go move this asset. And if you're wondering, this asset can be moved even with the purchase sickness status, which would normally prevent it from activating any of its own abilities or making an attack or something like that, but other assets can still interact with it perfectly fine. Next up, we get to activate a Harvester's asset that is currently sitting on Moss here. This, I believe, needs to roll a d6, and then I believe there's a +4 or higher, a +3 or higher gains 1 faction credit. So we'll, for the first time, get to go over to our Roll20 tab and roll a d6. Hopefully none of this text is too small. The Roll20 instance maybe a little bit, but that's going to be a 3, so that is a +1 faction credit. So we'll give that to them in just one moment. And then they have 4 commodities brokers to activate. Since we're on Roll20, I'm going to go ahead and roll that right away, and then we'll go make notes as needed. So we'll roll 4d8 as each commodities broker gets a d8 worth of discount, resulting in a 17, which I think is a fairly average roll for 4d8. So let's go make a note of this, and we'll need to make notes for each commodities broker asset. So this is going to have discount 7. This next commodities broker is another discount of 7. This commodities broker, discount of 1, and the final one is a discount of 2. So that'll allow them to take up to 17 faction credits off their next purchase. And let's go give them that faction credit from the harvester, bringing them up to 6. Perfect. Then they have one final asset to activate, which is the surveyor's asset on Coritas and the 12-13 system over here. The surveyors, as an action, can be moved to any world within 2 hexes, and so it's being activated to move to planet AE right down here. So let's go ahead and move that for free for them. That's... where is it? Wonder if it's not sorted by... You know what? There it is. Ah, yes, this was traded to them last turn, wasn't it? Or at some point in time in the past. Yeah, that's why it's not been sorted back then. So that moves to planet AE, and this should have no background coloring. Looks like the additional formatting broke. Alright. That completes their turn. They had no goal, so they couldn't possibly earn any experience. Oh, they do ask to modify the population on the planet of Peleus using the rules for that. So that's a constellation roll. So if we check, their constellation bonus is a +4. That's the only modifier to this roll. And then modifying the population is a DC 11 roll. So let's go roll that for them with a D10 +4. Oops. D10 +4, not /D. That is only a 5. Unfortunately, that is not going to succeed. Let's go make a note. 1d10 +4 equals 5 failure. I think our map modifications have been a grand old mess of failures, which is quite unfortunate. And this, I suppose, was a 1d6 that rolled a 3, gained 1 FC. This was a 4d8 that yielded a 7, 7, 1, and 2. Perfect. That wraps up their turn, and we get to move on to Ascent in the second place this turn. Let's go give them their income of a total of 6 faction credits, bringing them up to 49 as they continue to race to be the highest earning or highest balance faction. We'll paste their turn in here, and they're going to continue their trend of exploration. But beforehand, they're going to move some assets around. So let's go take a look at these smugglers' assets. There's a smugglers down here in the 14-16 system, just a space system that's going to head on down to the 15-17 point of interest. Excuse me, then the smuggler's asset way up here at the top of the map, along with its seditionist friend, is going to take a movement of from here into the point of interest at 902. So let's go ahead and take care of those moves. That's going to cost a total of 4 faction credits between them. So let's go charge that, bringing them down to a total of 45 faction credits. And now let's find those assets they need to move. So those were a smuggler's asset located in 1416 is going to 1517, and the smugglers in 1101 are heading to 0902's point of interest, along with the smugglers and the seditionists. That's both of them. It looks like the Smugglers, seditionists, smugglers. Great, that was all the movements. So now we'll actually take care of the exploration by having the smugglers at 1517 explore first, at the point of interest down lower on. So this is going to be a D10 roll, and then this is a cunning asset, as the ascent has been rolling with rolling with cunning every time. So D10 plus 6. The difficulty for down here in 1517. Let's go ahead and determine it real quick. I think 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's going to be a max difficulty roll. Which, if we just check our rules here, I believe is going to total up to a 14. Yep, that's 2 times the nearest distance with a maximum difficulty of 14. So this is a D10 plus 6 versus a difficulty of 14. That is only a 12, so this is a failure, but they have decided not to succeed at cost with this. The next exploration then in their chain is going to be in the 0902 sector, where they've just moved this smuggler and seditionist. So we'll go ahead and have the smugglers explore. It'll be the same roll, except the difficulty this time is only a DC 12. So let's go ahead and roll that, and hopefully it'll be more successful. Oh, that just that hurts. We're dropping by 2, and the DC went down by 2. Unfortunately, that one doesn't succeed. They do have one last chance with the seditionist asset, and if this one fails, they have asked me to succeed at cost. Unfortunately, their rolls today were not successful, so we will be succeeding at cost for a total of 1d4 damage to the asset. Don't believe there's anything currently active that would impact the difficulty of that. Oh, I'm sorry. I've forgot about the previous Telestar group vote. I needed to make notes of this. So in fact, the first roll should have actually been difficulty 12. My apologies. So those last 2 rolls don't count, and the first one actually succeeds. I'll go ahead and copy this text over into the Roll20 chat so that people can see what I'm talking about. So this was the previous turn's result for the TTGI vote. I forgot that it was still active and missed it in my notes. So this should have actually reduced the difficulty of that very first roll that we made, the DC 12, down to a difficulty of 12 rather than a difficulty of 14. Apologies. So with that, though, that is a success. So let's figure out how many planets are here. A 4 is 2 planets. So let's go ahead and roll 1 up, and then I'll roll the second one up as we move them over to the faction tracker. This is now in the 1517 system, since that was the one that was successful. So this is Planet BI, and Planet. We're going to skip to Planet BK as the second one. I am sure everyone can take their own guess as to why I'm not going to have another acronym that could potentially demonetize me. That would not be fun. But okay, so Planet 1 is Planet BI with the mechanics tag of +2 to cunning assets. Planetary Governor gains +2 to Cunning Force asset cap and loses 1 from another stat. It has the population of uncolonized, along with a TL4 technology level. It has a breathable mix atmosphere, along with a temperate temperature that has no native biosphere. This is actually a pretty good planet, all things considered, as far as the actual surface itself goes. It's got theocracy and minimal contact, perhaps explaining why it's been uncolonized. The ruin roll was only a 12, so that is not a ruin on that planet. The BK planet down here is going to have the tag force assets cost 1 less, along with the tens of millions population, only at TL2, however. They've also got a breathable mix atmosphere. This planet must be further out in the system, being variable cold with a microbial biosphere. It's got the tags of Area 51 and Gold Rush. Quite interesting. The Ruin roll is only a 16 on that one, so unfortunately that is not good enough for a Ruin to spawn. There's the results for both of those. I'll give people a second to read over those. Yes, thank you for the reminder of a d6 damage on a miss. That was actually what triggered me to go double check when I was about to roll the d4. So I'm glad I did, because thank you for that. Great, so that's going to wrap up Ascent's turn then. Let's give them their experience, bringing them up to a total of 6, and move right along in our turn. Next up is the Children of the Vein, gaining a total of 8 income this turn, taking them up to a total of 26 at the start of their turn. Actually, excuse me, before I do that, I actually need to, they have an XP increase that they are triggering, so I should do that before I give them income, just in case it changes anything. They're going to spend all 12 of their experience to take their wealth stat from a 5 up to a 6. It does not change their income, but it does increase their max HP. So we can return their balance to the 26 I had originally calculated. They're going to be taking a buy asset turn to purchase a marketer's asset on Telus, so I'm going to go ahead and charge that for them now, taking them down to a balance of 16, and then we'll go add that and continue on with their turn from there. So Children of the Vein right here, purchasing an asset of a marketer's asset on the planet of Telus. Quite nice to see, so we'll go ahead and mark this with the purchase sickness, and that is good for there. They have a few movements that we need to take care of, so let's take a look over on the map just so this is easier to visualize. So they are going to be moving a strike fleet that is currently located on Kirkaduk, right down here, up to the planet of, out to the planet of Yakia. I think that's correct pronunciation we settled on. I may be mispronouncing it. Apologies. They're also then going to move a strike fleet from the 0904 system right over here to the 1105 system, which is floating about in space. Perfectly okay. And then they're going to activate their extended theater asset on Moss right here to move a bank from Icaros, which is right over here, and place that onto Telus. This would again trigger the pirate effect from the Tohoraphae. However, the planet of Telus, actually the bank itself, gets to ignore one faction credit cost or loss that is triggered by another faction, so the pirate tax is negated. So that's 3 movements total. Each of those cost 1 faction credit, so that's 3 total faction credits of charge. Let's move these assets, and then we'll take a look at where we need to relocate our various faction credit balances. So we're going to be starting off with the strike fleet that was located on Kartakuk, which is right here. It's the Rites of Spring, and it's going to move into Yakia. And then we're going to move the one that is currently on Maze, the Legacy of Worms, to the 1105 system. Yeah, this is gonna not be happy about that. That's fine, I'll go fix that in just one moment. And then we're going to move the bank from Icaros, the New Eden Gene Bank itself, to Telus. Let's go charge them their 3 faction credits for that, bringing their balance down to 13. Then they're going to take the free action that Telus enables them to do as Planetary Governor, which is heal 1 HP per turn on an asset. They're going to heal up the bank by 1 HP. Makes sense. It's a little injured after, I forget what caused that damage, but it's taken some damage, so it goes up to 3. And then next we're going to have the quest action that they're currently undergoing, that they're going to establish a missionary clinic on the planet of Yakia. So they're establishing their places, these lore locations they need to do so. The planetary government controllers, the Concord of Mutual Disdain, have agreed to this location, so that gives this a +2 on this roll. The Children of the Vein have decided they are going to spend 4 faction credits, bringing them down to a total of 9, to also add to this roll, giving them a total of +6 to this d10. They are fanatical, so if they roll a 1, they should re-roll the 1 only once, and they need to beat a target DC of 8. A 14 will easily succeed, so that will give them a new location on the planet of Yakia. So let's just find my notes for the Children of the Vein Missionary Clinic and go find the planet of Yakia, which I can't search for because of the umlauts. There we are. Children of the Vein Missionary Clinic. That brings them up to a total of 4, so they now need to roll to advance their clock. They get a d6 -1 for each, d6 -1 for each clinic they've established, so that means a total of 4d6 really rolling 1s, -1 or -4 in total. So I actually correctly prepared the rolls in advance, so it would re-roll it automatically for me this time, rather than having to worry about it if they did roll a 1. So that adds a total of 9 to their quest tracker, which brings them up to, I believe, 24 out of 66. That finishes up their turn. They did not have a goal, so we get to move right along without any XP gain. With that, we move over to the Larkspur Combine, coming in 4th this turn. Let's find their entry. They're going to be continuing everyone's favorite game of Inside Enemy Territory goal, earning some money, moving some assets, buying an asset, and completing their goal. So they're going to buy an asset of a strike fleet on the planet of Moss, where they are planetary government controllers. They're going to move 3 strike fleets for 3 faction credits to various locations that they've been visiting before. In fact, they're just going to shift between some assembled Commonwealth planets. Maybe they're getting some training, or stealthily following along and observing the Commonwealth fleet from a distance, given they are stealth assets. We would have to ask them to find out. But that's going to be a total charge for their turn of 15 faction credits. They're going to gain 5 for income, so I'm just going to subtract 10, bringing them down to a total balance of 3 faction credits. Let's go give them their purchase of a new strike fleet, which will come in stealthed, as they have the secretive faction tag. And this is going to fill in all of this, and this was purchased on Moss. Let's redo that and give it the purchase sickness, and then do that again. Perfect. Then the other 3 strike fleets of theirs, they need to get to move. So this one on Menkiraniti is moving to Idarast. The 2 on Idarast are moving up to Menkiraniti. As all of these assets are full health, I'm going to make this really easy for me and just move this one to Menkiraniti. And the assets have moved. So there we go. We've still got everything in order there. Let's go give them their goal completion for moving 3 assets into hidden on new worlds, taking them up to a total of 15 experience. Concord of Mutual Disdain is up next on our slots, as they're going to gain an income of 5 faction credits, so let's take them up to 28. And then they're going to be continuing the exploration trend. So let me grab my mouse so that I can actually copy and paste their turnover. Where are they hiding? Here they are. They are 5th this turn. So they're going to be exploring the point of interest at 1412, and they will do so at cost if necessary to succeed. This is difficulty 8, given the current rules for this exploration. So that's going to be a d10. They're currently exploring with a strike fleet, so the Concord of Mutual Disdain gains a +5 from force. So let's go roll a d10 +5 for them. They need to roll better than an 8, and a 14 will do that, so that is a success. Let's see how many planets they've found. That's another 2 planets. Alright, so let's see what this first planet looks like. So they've found the planet BL to begin with. I'll read this out in just one moment as I get set up to type it into the planet map, because live editing the map is always a fun adventure. So this is in the 1412 system 60. For point of interest 60, this is now planet BL. It's gained the mechanics tag of wealth assets, cost 1 less. It has a tens of millions population that is currently finding itself living the nice lifestyle in TL4 with a thick atmosphere, a variable cold temperature, and an engineered biosphere, along with the tags of restrictive laws and feral world. Quite interesting. The second planet they've located in this system is planet BM, and it has... Oh, I'm sorry, that first planet has a ruins roll of 3, so that does not give a ruin, unfortunately. This next planet gives that wealth assets owned by the planetary government controller deal 1 additional damage on successful attack and counterattack damage rolls. That's pretty nice. It has another tens of millions of population, this time unfortunately a TL0, that is in a breathable mix, variable warm temperature, with an immiscible biosphere, along with the tags of Cold War. Perhaps that's why it's TL0, and they're also dealing with zombies, because a Cold War zombies on an immiscible planet that has no technology is, or very primitive technology, excuse me, is definitely the place I want to spend my next vacation. The ruin roll for this planet is only a 9, so unfortunately that does not to make it. Oh, did I not copy and paste the Children of the Vein turn order over? I'm just catching up on chat, because that was the time to do so. I thought I did, but... Oh, no, I didn't. I took it entirely off of my, my notes, and didn't paste it in. Thank you for the catch. Cool. I probably should have recorded some of their rolls too, but we can... I can always come do that in post. The Roll20 chat log is there for me, if needed. Great. I think that should catch up. Let's go give the Concordia Mutual to stay in their 2 experience, so in fixing 1 mistake I don't make another, bring them up to a total of 3. And that should have everything there. Let me know in the chat if the turn doesn't show up here within the next couple of seconds for you all. In fact, actually, the spreadsheet's probably quicker to update than the stream is, isn't it? Such is the way that works. Okay. Algomal Syndicate is up next. They are coming in 6th this turn. We're really cruising through these now. They are going to set the goal to Planetary Seizure, as they have a Planetary Seize completing this turn. They are then going to gain their income, and they're going to seize a new planet this turn. Alright, so let's take this one step at a time, going and giving them their income, bringing them up to a total of 41 faction credits. Quite nice. Apparently they don't have a seize completing this turn, and I've made that up. I was thinking of the Tohoraphae who had a seize completing this turn. Oh well. Let's see here. They're then going to move some strike fleets around before they trigger their seize, so give me just a moment to review those moves with you. So, from 1208 to the planet of Gome, this strike fleet is moving down to the empty hex of 1309. The Lapides Pegu strike fleet, which is currently located on planet P up here, is that one? No, that was the one on planet E. 1207. Did planet P get renamed? I wonder if that's just a typo. Let me go figure out which one is the Lapidus Figu in just a moment so that I can clarify the conundrum. Actually, this shows me that on hover. So it is this one. I bet it's just a typo on my my notes here that it says Planet P, but the rest of this lines up. I know the faction rep for Algomal Syndicate is in the chat, so she can let me know if this is just a typo. But I'm pretty sure it is, based on I can coordinate that this is what this asset should be, and it's going to move down to Nueva Cuauhtémoc. And then we're going to then take the strike fleet from the 1109 empty hex and move it down into 1211. And then finally, the covert shipping on Nueva Cuauhtémoc is going to activate to move the Cyber Ninjas from from Nueva Cuauhtémoc up to Planet E. And then let me just double check. Oh, did I just add a goal to your tag when I typed things in? I totally might have. Let me just go double check this 1 second so that I'll definitely fix my mistakes. Yep, nope, I just totally read your lines there with goal and action is the same thing. Okay, all solved. My notes are wrong, as is normally the case when that happens. Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of these movements then. And I'll fix the turn in just one moment. So, the strike fleet, as we said, the Lapidus Pegu is moving to Nueva Cuauhtémoc. The strike fleet on in 1109 is moving to 1211. Nicely, already a spot I can target. And then the strike fleet on Gome is moving to 1309, which I'm going to type in this way, and I'll fix all of these mistaken references after the stream. That's a total of 3 charges there, and then finally the covert shipping moving the Cyber Ninjas off of Nueva Cuauhtémoc onto Planet E. That's a total of 4 faction credits to go charge for. So let me take care of that now that I've figured out what was wrong with my notes, and let me fix these just so that I have that all correct. Perfect. Now we'll move on to their free action as part of their quest, where they're going to attempt to reveal the White Whale, who currently finds himself with the stealth ability. So this is an opposed cunning v cunning roll. The whale only has 1 stat, so it has a 4. I should triple check that, but that's what my notes say. But given my notes were just wrong a moment ago, I should verify that that is actually the case. Give me just one moment, as I have to scroll up and find it posted in the faction turn channel. Yes, it has stats of 4. So the whale is going to roll a d10 plus 4 versus the Algomal Syndicate's d10 plus 3, so fairly even. So let's roll the whale first with a... Oh man, my dice rolls today have been all over the place. That's going to be hard to beat, so let's roll that counter die. A 7 is not going to unstealth the whale, unfortunately, so he's going to maintain his stealth. Yes, you're correct. I should also remove this. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so now we get to actually execute the start of the seas of Planet E. It's unopposed, there's only a Cyber Ninjas present there, so that can start. Unfortunately, this second attack that's listed as part of the seas action against the White Whale will fail automatically, as the note says, because the White Whale still finds itself stealthed. Let's go start adding this tracker, though, for the seas of Planet E, just so that I have it. So, seas, planet E, now at 1 out of 3. Perfect. That takes care of that, and I think I've made it through the mess of my own notes that I made on that turn, as we'll move right along to the Starlord court. This is why this is much better to do with people looking over my shoulder to make sure I don't make a mistake in my copy and paste and verification steps. So the Starlord court is going to be returning to the theme of exploration for this turn, and they're going to move a strike fleet in the they're going to have the strike fleet, in the hex of 1600 take an exploration, and then it will move, and then a smuggler asset will move. So they're going to spend a total of 2 faction credits this turn, but we'll take care of that in just a moment. Let me start with their exploration in the 1600 hex, which is way up at the top of the map here. It's 1 hex away, so this is a difficulty 8 roll of a d10 plus their force asset. The Starlord Court's force is a +4, so d10 plus 4 against difficulty 8. That is only a 6. That's unfortunate for them. Not quite enough to succeed, so they're going to be taking 4 points of damage, as the damage is a d6 to succeed. Then going to roll a d6 here to see how many planets they've discovered. I believe a 5 is still 2 planets. Yes, it is. So they've discovered 2 planets. Quite a lot of 2 planets today. That's pretty exciting. Let's go take note of the damage against the this asset before I roll out the planets, however, just so that I don't forget. So this is the strike fleet in the 1600 point of influence right here. It takes 4 damage, taking it down to 2. So that that takes care of that roll. Now let's go see what these planets look like. So the first planet seems to be pretty good. It's going to, let's see here, it's going to be planet BN. Yep, and then planet BP, I believe. We'll skip BO as well. Alright. This is in the 1600 system, which is right here. So this is planet BN, and then there's going to be a second planet here. System LXVII, which is BP. Alright, so the first planet has the mechanics tag of tactic assets, cost 1 less faction credit. It has a hundreds of millions population that finds itself with TL4 status, with a breathable atmosphere that is variable warm, and has a remnant biosphere, along with the planet tags of exchange consulate, or whatever that looks like in our world, and anthropomorphs. The ruin roll is only a 14, so that is not a planet, or not a ruin for this planet. The second planet has the planetary governor controller gains +2 to their cunning asset cap, losing 1 from another asset of their choice. They've got the population of another hundreds of millions that finds itself at TL1 with a breathable mix atmosphere that is cold in temperature with an immiscible biosphere, with the tags of nomads and preceptor archive. Pretty interesting. This planet also has a ruins roll of 14, so no ruin found at either planet, quite unfortunately. that takes care of that exploration. Now we have some movements to take care of. So the strike fleet that is up here in the 1600 system is moving over to 1700 onto planet BF. And the smuggler over here in 1503 is moving into the 1605 system. Which still finds itself in space. So both of those are just 1 faction credit movements for the Starlord Court. So this goes over to 1605. And this moves itself into the 1700 system. Perfect. Let's go charge them the 2 faction credits that it costs to do that, bringing them down to a total of 4. It seems like. They have completed their goal, so that brings them up to a total of 12 experience because they've explored successfully, and that wraps up their turn. We'll then move on to the Tohoraphae, coming in 8th this turn. They are going to... Excuse me, they are going to be... spending some experience and increasing a score, and they do have a note that it will increase their income, so let's make sure we've double checked that beforehand, and then they will be the one that are actually completing the planetary seas this turn. So they're going to be spending, it looks like 4 experience points to bring them down to 5, so they can raise their cunning score from a 2 up to a 3, and let's see, should that have changed their income? Let's just double check this. They have a note that it should have, but the formula didn't update, so let me just do it by hand. I tend to believe the formula is probably correct, but we can always double check. I think this looks correct. Somebody in chat want to verify it for me as well? Oh, that's what that note is for. Okay, I totally misinterpreted it. My bad. Let me move it then. Thank you. That was a good reminder, but I would have, there we go. Out of context, that note made no sense to me. That's why it was placed with the XP. Okay. That's probably why it got shifted when I was organizing my notes late at night. Perfect. Okay, so that then is only an income correctly of 5, bringing them up to 30. Then they are going to move some strike fleets around and purchase a strike fleet. So let's go ahead and charge them a total of 14 faction credits, bringing them down to 16 right now. That's going to start off with 2 strike fleets currently located on Telos, moving to the 1110 hex. If I can, excuse me, type it. You're moving to the same thing. And then the additional purchase of a new asset for the Tohoraphae, where they are buying a strike fleet asset on the planet of Telos. Now this is where a new rule for our version of the game comes into play, is that as the Tohoraphae are not the planetary government controllers on Telos, that is the Children of the Vein, the Children of the Vein get a say in whether or not this purchase goes through. They were asked, and it goes through unopposed, so this purchase is perfectly fine for the Tohoraphae to make. Let's go ahead and give them the purchase sickness on status on that asset. That takes care of those things. Next up is going to be taking care of revising some charts, trying to establish moons over the planet AO. This is another constellation roll. The Tohoraphae have a +5 bonus. They're going to be taking on a DC 8 difficulty to establish moons. So this is a D10 +5. Maybe I can be successful today. There we are. There it is. A 10 on the die +5 will give them a difficulty across this. Um, so that will take care of this. Now I'm just going to double check. I believe I've moved these things. I think I also called it revised charts. Yeah, to establish an object, the moons is 1d4 moons or 0. I'm assuming, as there wasn't a note in here, for it to be 0 moons, that the intent is to roll the 1d4. So I'll go ahead and do that so that we have the dice roll and can do such a thing. We've established then 3 moons over the planet of AO. That adds on to here. Since I've noticed it on this page, if somebody in chat knows which planet AN got renamed to, I would appreciate it. Thank you. I'm for now just going to call this Moon 1, Moon 2, and Moon 3 so that they have unique names. But in the future, I'm sure the Tohoraphae will give me better names. And I don't want to keep duplicating this unknown name approach, as that'll cause problems for display. While we've established these few moons, I actually have a note that this refueling station in Kuafu should be renamed to Dave. So we now have 0408 Kuafu Dave as a refueling station for religious missionary travelers, where hopefully your ship doesn't find itself in severe distress. Okay. AN became Huluhan, thank you. Did it? It looks like that's changing my hex number? Okay. I'm going to just make myself a note real quick to take a look at this after the stream, just to be sure. Oh, Lagan? Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Yep. Because yep, Lagan doesn't have its changing items. There we go. Sweet. Thank you. I knew somebody in chat would know if I asked. Yes, that's right, Ender. I like it said it's established moons, like you're building them. Yeah, the thoughts on this exploration map modifications thing have been an addendum because I think it's more interesting to give some amount of narrative control over if these things are present or not to the players, rather than having to come up with some rules for rolling for them automatically. So it's pretty interesting. You know, you could be establishing some moons by towing some asteroids into orbit. I mean, that's well within the faction's technology levels, I would think. But, you know, we will see. All right. With that out of the way, let me double check. I know there's still more things to do, I believe. Yes. The Lagan Planetary Ruin needs an exploration roll. That's just a simple D10. A 7, I believe, is a success. Of +1 to the ruin clock. It is indeed, so... there it is, right here. This progress is now at 2 out of 8 out of being successful, and I will make a note that I owe them a lore prompt for this successful progression of the Planetary Ruin. Alright, since we're right here, Planet AO is what the seas finishes on. So that's going to allow them to rename this planet, and they've chosen to rename Planet AO to Rosebud. There it is, yep. And this is, yeah, where the one faction credit per turn should apply. Hopefully, with any luck, when I click back over here, the sheet did it for me. It didn't break for the first time we had to use this new feature. Woohoo! Alright, so next turn they will get 6 faction credits automatically because of that new +1 from the planet. That's very exciting. Let's give them their XP before I get too excited over the fact that I too can modify spreadsheets and not have them break. And move on from there. Since I know I've just now broken my sector object things, I'm gonna go fix these real quick as well. I probably should have renamed it before adding them, but appropriate orders of all things. We can also stop tracking this seas right here. That finishes things up for them, so let's move on to our 9th faction. Last but certainly not least, of the Yamaha Institute. They're going to be gaining 5 faction credits, so that's going to take them up to a total of 50, also rivaling the ascent of who can have the biggest piggy bank. And they're going to be taking the Expand Influence goal and action. So they're going to build a base of influence on the planet of AK, which is in the 0315 system right down here. This commodities broker, there's nobody else on planet, so they're able to do so unopposed. And we're seeing something pretty cool as far as I'm concerned. The Yamaha Institute base of influence here has more than just 1 HP. This has an HP count of 10 that has been selected for it. So, this base of influence is going to have 10 HP. That is going to mean it costs 10 faction credits to establish, but that is pretty cool as far as I'm concerned. So this is on planet AK. And we'll just go charge them for it. So they go from being richest to second richest still, with that large expenditure out of the way. They're then also going to move a commodities broker by triggering their covert shipping that is located back here on Ingrid. They're going to move the commodities broker, that is located on planet BG here, and they're going to move it into the 1214 point of interest, which is a perfectly valid and legal move. So that's going to cost them 2 faction credits, taking them down to 38. And let's see if I can make this 0214 for the let's see, which one is it? There it is, 0214. Pretty exciting movement there. That has finished up their turn, completes their goal, will give them 1 faction credit, or excuse me, 1 experience. I think I need to copy and paste their turn in if I didn't do it already. I did not. Perfect. So our 10th and final faction today, as will always be 10th as long as this faction currently exists, is the White Whale faction. As this turn, it was undisturbed by any other faction. It will remain in the hex it is currently sitting. It will either choose to take the gain stealth property or heal. Either way doesn't particularly matter, given that it's, well, neither is going to do anything regardless, but we'll go ahead and roll this out just so that I can get used to how this GM-influenced faction goes. That's going to be a 5, which is an odd result, so it would gain the stealth ability back had it not had it. Which is pretty nice. Alright, and then I think that wraps up everything on the spreadsheet. Specifically, except for, or as far as faction turns go, excuse me. We do still have one other modification to make with regards to the planet of Teles's clock automatically progressing. So it's going to go up to a clock of 10 out of 12. We're almost there, everyone. We're getting pretty close to the completion of this clock. And in fact, by moving up to planet 10, we see that the biosphere has transformed into the miscible type. So we've got a new set of biosphere that has been finished, perhaps been genetically modified back to what should be standard for the planet of Telos, or whatever standard is for the terraformed version. but the wildlife has been able to return, even with the ongoing changes in temperature, atmosphere, and the works as regards to this terraforming project. So terraforming is starting to finish up. Planet is looking better than ever. Sweet. All right. I think that's about it as regards to things I need to modify on the spreadsheet then for real. We've just got a few other notes to make. Yeah. Let me just double check and make sure I didn't miss anything on my notes. It doesn't look like it. Did anyone in chat think I missed something? Just feel free to let me know while I move on to the next topic then, and I can always, while we still have it open, come back and fix something if you do believe there was a mistake. I know, before I move on, that if you try to load the map up right now, it will almost certainly not load because I have some planet references that have not yet been fixed. I will be fixing that shortly after the stream. It may take me a little bit longer than usual to make some of those sort of post-stream updates and fixes so that our tools work correctly. I'm actually getting ready to break my computer down to move it to a new location later this afternoon. So that's why the stream has been pushed up to this time slot that we're in right now, and why it may take me a little bit longer to get some of these vital updates made. But with that said, we still have one other announcement, at least with regards to next month's TTGI vote. So next month is going to be exploratory prioritization number 3, or Roman numeral 3, excuse me. This is going to be a vote you all have seen before, where option 1 is removing the faction credit penalty for moving into unexplored hexes for 2 turns, and option 2 advances the terraforming clock by 1. So, again, these will be posted in the faction turn channel slightly after the turn, but we've had this vote before, so it shouldn't be too unsurprising. It was picked by Ascent, who was the chair this turn. Up next, then, there are just a few remaining important dates to consider. So we have finalized out a probable next time for Lore Stream 17. We're going to aim to have that take place on February 12th. And you can look forward to Faction Turn 17 on January 26th. I'll have the full set of, or the full suite of deadlines and such that normally gets put out for the faction reps into the faction rep channel, probably over the course of this weekend before turn swaps happen for sure. Yeah, February 26th. Did I not say that? What did I say? Did I say January? I do mean February. If I said January, we're not having a turn in 4 days. Okay, it is February. Sorry, I don't know why I said January then. So yeah, wow. Just gonna start this entire sentence over. February 26th for the Faction Turn 17 lore stream. 4 days is way too short. So, yeah. Great, well, I look forward to seeing the cool lore and things that get put together for that upcoming stream. And that will be great. Just a quick note, as I mentioned, I will have, with the whole moving computer thing, I will have some limited availability this weekend. So I know there are some requests to move money around that is currently pending because it came in after the trade lock. I'll be taking care of all of the pending transactions that have been sent to me after turn swaps take place, which will be at, I guess, midnight Eastern on the 25th of January. And this one is actually the 25th, because it'll be the end of the day Monday, essentially, and beginning of the day Tuesday. So thanks for joining me for Faction Turn 16 here on Unrestricted Lorefare within the world of Beacon Space. It's been great to get back to it, and thank you all for coming out later in this month for the turn. Can't wait to see what happens next month, and with that, yeah, it'll be Lich98, your GM, signing off for the month. I'll see you all again in a few weeks for the lore stream, and I'll leave you with some chill tunes for the next couple of minutes as we finish things up here.